As the mayor of the town of Clayton, I'd like to call this Clayton Town Council meeting to order. I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks for the many blessings of this day, Lord. And we ask now that you be with us as we proceed with the business for the town of Clayton. For it's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add item 4C, introduction of Nathaniel Shelton, our new PIO.
All right. Anything else?
And additionally, I believe we are having a closed session with regard to personnel issues.
All right, I have that noted. Okay, up next is your consent agenda. Approve. Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Up next under the administrative items is the appointment of Councilmember Everett as the liaison for the Board of Adjustment. And it's the mayor's duty to appoint board members, and I've decided to appoint Councilmember Everett to the Liaison Board of Adjustment. And thank you for taking that on.
Yes, sir.
Questions or comments? Thank you. All right, up next is the recommendation of appointments to advisory boards.
Yes, last week we held interviews regarding the vacancy on the Fire Advisory Board. We had 2 applicants. Both were phenomenally outstanding and very well qualified. It is the recommendation of the committee that we appoint Darrell Harris to fill that vacancy with a term expiration of December 31st, 2023.
All right. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Granis.
Make a motion that we go ahead and approve Mr. Harris, I believe it is,
That's correct.
to the Fire Advisory Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the appointment to the Fire Advisory Board. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Up next is the Clayton Center live stream presentation.
Introduction of Nathaniel Shelton.
I'm sorry, I have that listed as 5B.
I'm sorry, can't go 4C? Administrative, or you want it under? Okay, well, wait, you're right, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
5B, you're right. No, Scotty, you got it, buddy.
Might want to reduce, sir. You might not like what I do. Mayor, Council, sorry about my backside over here for you.
You're quite all right.
I'll try to make sure I address you as best I can. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Scotty Henley, and welcome to the Clayton Center.
Thanks.
I've had the pleasure and the honor of saying those words several times over the past 9 years. Lately, this past year, I have said them quite a few times with one little caveat. Welcome to your Wednesday night streaming delight. Cheesy? Yeah, but we're all due for a little cheesy every now and then, aren't we? Little backstory to help you all along. If you're not familiar, this thing called COVID-19 grabbed our nation and kind of has a hold on us right now. And about sometime in January or February of last year, it made its way over to our side of the pond and started raging some havoc and holding us up. And this state, along with others, decided that it was best for us all to just shut her down. Maybe for a few weeks, we'd get this all handled out, and we'd be back to normal. So you saw a lot of signs like this: sorry, we're closed due to COVID-19. Well, for us, that meant postponing some events. That wasn't too bad. We just had to take care of some of our rentals, some of our clients, some of the churches and everything. We just stopped, held the calendar for them. That was okay. We could manage through that. And to be fair, we were also asked as a Cultural Arts Department to take on the cleaning and disinfecting of this building about 3 times a day, which we did gracefully. And recently, or for a while now, we've been answering the phones in the afternoons. We've been able to give up the cleaning part, which has been good. But we've continued to answer the phones in the afternoons, and it's given us a bit of a history and a lesson about even furthering our customer service skills. So here we are in March, I think it was March 12th, Broadway decided that it was going to close for just a month, from March 12th to April 12th. Well, it didn't take longer than maybe a week when the Met Opera said, we're not going to open for a full year. We're willing to give up $5.3 million in revenue just to make sure everybody's safe. And it was a recommendation by the CDC and many others around that entertainment should shutter itself down because we don't need to have a large group of people together in one place. It would be the easiest way for us to control this. And that included us. Beautiful picture of our stage, but not so beautiful if it's sitting like that for a year. So we had to take the route like everybody else and cancel shows. Now, luckily, and I say luckily for us, we only had about 2 shows that we had to cancel. But we had a lot of rentals, we had a lot of meetings, HOAs, the churches, everything had to stop. We haven't seen them for a year. Being creative people, artists, they decided, well, we'll just grab the cell phones, start doing some live streaming, give you some entertainment. Maybe earn a few bucks through a tip jar, something in that line. And that was all good. It was kind of a novelty for a week. But then you'd find that they'd have a problem, the Wi-Fi would drop out, the signal wouldn't get there, you couldn't understand the audio. It was starting to lose its flavor. And if you were a big name star, you probably had done pretty well with your life and had saved your money and were able to ride this thing out, where other entertainers, other artists from the lowest parts were having to work off the gig economy effect. And that's where you've got to work from day to day to day to make your bread. I was inspired though, because I wanted to figure out how could we get into the game, how we could support our community, how we could support our businesses, mainly our restaurants that were shut down, and how could we stay connected and help artists at the same time. And there was a young lady who played here about 3 years ago, and unfortunately last year she was going to be here with David Miles, and her show got canceled, and that was Susan Werner. And she started this thing called Susie on Sundays at 7 o'clock. Very crafty. She started off with a phone, and then later on you'd see that there was a camera now added and a microphone, and it became very clean. And she inspired me, where I was trying to think, we have a stage, we have lights, the audio thing is going to be a trick. And then the cameras. And this is where the Stacey Beard effect comes in. Sorry, Nathaniel, you're going to hear a lot about her, but don't take it personally. In talking to her and finding out about the cameras, and Nader, who's back there running the cameras right now, found out we had all the cameras we needed, but they had something in their possession called a sling studio. I didn't know what a sling studio was, so I started researching it. That's the main brain there of an encoder that allows us to transmit video to Vimeo, to YouTube, to Facebook Live. But what you don't see on the backside of that machine is inputs, audio input. I started researching what the connections were, found them, bought them, got Paul Barton to come in, our sound engineer, and we started testing. We found that we could produce quality sound. So now I got stage, I got lights, I got sound. All I need is artists. So now granted, we're still in March here. And I gathered a couple of artists who are in the triangle, who are not only just our local artists, but they are national and international artists. And they had tried to do something on their own too, but they were having struggles with the technology. And I convinced them, you should come to our stage, we'll take care of the technological parts, you just do what you do best, and that's entertain. Now again, we're in March. What was happening in March? A lot of shotgun information about COVID, what was happening. About 3 days before this show was going to happen on the 25th, they started contacting me more regularly, telling me about their uncomfortableness. They had families, people depending on them, they were a little nervous. On the 25th, the day we were supposed to do this, 4 hours before the show, I'm on a conference call with them on the stage with everybody else that's going to help, and they finally admit they're not coming. They're just not comfortable. So I'm ready to pack it up, tell everybody it's done, we're finished. And they're like, wait a minute, we got everything all set up. Why, can't we do something? I think they wanted me to call you, Mr. Mayor, and have you sing a few medleys. Stephen Langston, Justin Dunn said, wait, can you give us 40 minutes, an hour? Let me call somebody, anybody that's local artists. And they started throwing out names, and one of them was Aaron Ham. I said, well, I've got Aaron's number, call him up, see what you can do. I don't know what they said to Aaron, but Aaron agreed. And him and his partner, Josh Adams, came here with 40 minutes to be able to sound check and sit down on these stools with these cameras in front of their face and only 5 people in the audience, and did their first live stream with us. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even know if we were live at first. We pull up our phones, we didn't see anything, and all of a sudden it's there, and we found out, oh yeah, there's lag because it's broadcasting. We're not live, we are live, but we got a lag to deal with. And my hope was that we'd only be doing maybe 4 or 5 of these things, and we'd be going back to our normal lives, as people have been saying. And so we kind of joked, and weren't really joking, we said, well, we're going to have the artists we have here, and we'll get everybody together, and we'll have this great reunion-type concert on the stage. Well, week 4 went to week 8, week 8 went to 10, then we went to 15, then we went to 22, and it looked like we're not getting anywhere at all. But we were getting better at it. Our audio was getting better, our lights were getting better, our video was getting better because Nader was back there schooling us on how to be better photographers. Then we got the attention of the North Carolina Arts Council. And they said, we want to contract you to give you a bit of money that you will hire our artists from our Cartwheel program, and you can either stream them or record. And I also convinced them to let us use some of that money to get some of our own artists. That's how we got the Malpas brothers, John Brown, Shauna Tucker, Christian Tamber here. And we were successful, and we fulfilled our agreement with them. Now, one of the toughest areas and one of the longest now relationships we have had personally here is with this man right here, Mike Wiley. He is a playwright, actor, social activist, mainly historian on civil rights issues, stories. I invited him to come do a performance here, and he said no. He was concerned that his property, his intellect, his performance would not be his anymore. But I heard that he wanted and was trying to build a studio in his garage, green screen, everything else, going to try to do these things himself. And I talked to his agent, which we all know, Stephen Barefoot. And I said, Stephen, I got an idea. We've got some money from the Arts Council. Have Mike come down here and just see something. So he came on a Wednesday, him and another partner, and I think they were totally blown away with what we had in there. We turned this place into a studio. He was not prepared for that. So he agreed that we would come and do one recording of one of his shows, the Jackie Robinson, to start off. And I think from that moment that he came and did that, we did like 4 hours of work for him, recording with about 7 different cameras. I know, he was impressed by not only the time we gave him and the care that we gave him and how we were committed to his craft and what he was trying to put out there, that he then said, I want to do the rest of my shows here. So we recorded all 8 of his performances here. And at this time period, he would be in all of your schools, your primary schools, your colleges, some conferences, performing these pieces as historical documentation to help teach. He was wiped out from that. So midway in the fourth recording of one of his shows, we've stopped, we're finished, I'm on the floor, he's up on the stage, and he comes and goes, hey, I got this thing going on in Asheville with the North Carolina Stage Company. I got to do 12 performances of Blood Don't Sign My Name. Can we do them here? And they do them on Zoom. And me being me and not thinking at that moment went, yeah, sure, we can do it. Mike turned on his heels, walked away. He goes, I'll talk to Charlie Flynn McGeever, who is the artistic director there, and we'll see how we set this up. And then I went, how do I do this? Because this thing doesn't talk to Zoom. Did some more research online, found out, you just buy a couple of implements, it'll work. You hook your computer up from that implement to the Sling Studio, you've got Zoom. No. It did give us the video, but it didn't give us the audio quality. It was behind. So in other words, if I clapped right now, my hands would hit together, but then the sound would come after it. We worked and got it closer and closer, and even when testing with the North Carolina Stage Company, it was there, but it wasn't quite there. Again, utilizing resources. I found Ethan McKenzie, who'd been working with us. Young man, studied sound engineering, digital, very smart. I said, Ethan, please come help me. Get me through this. He gave me 2 days, and we worked and worked and worked until we found the right audio implement that we needed to be able to take the sound and move it forward, and then go to our board and bring it backwards till we matched up. We passed the test with the Arts Council, or with the North Carolina Stage Company. But here was the other kicker. Charlie Flynn, being an artistic director, being artsy, said, I want the audience that's going to see this in Zoom feel as close as they are as being in your theater. I need Mike to see them. And everybody thought I was nuts by trying to do this. But then again, it was fun because I was relying on my technical knowledge from college. And we came up with this. So what you have is 3 screens. The middle one is lower because he uses projections. Zoom allows you 47 heads across its screen. So we have 3 computers in the house. We have 3 projectors. I've got our pipe and drape up, some simple drapes, white. I'm shining the image on that screen in a reverse projection so Mike can see the audience. In the audience seating, I have speakers so that Mike, during his time of interacting with the audience, can hear them. And at the end, they had Q&A. They could have their conversation, ask their questions. We did all 12 of their shows in 3 weeks, and Mike never had to go to Asheville and never had to come home and quarantine and never had to put his family in danger and never had to have them worry. And that was important because they were also trusting in us that we were going to take their safety to heart. Subsequently, we have done other presentations for Mike through Raleigh Little Theater, Western Piedmont Community College. We will do one for the League of Municipalities here at the end of April. And we have one more before that. I'm afraid I'm forgetting which one. The Benson Area Chamber of Commerce contacted us because they were worried about losing the money for 2 of their outdoor concerts. We were able to produce those for them. And Elon and App State were recordings that we did for Shauna Tucker as they presented them for their audiences based on the contract obligation she had. Elon just happened a week and a half ago, and last week I was on a Zoom conference with other presenters that we do a bi-weekly kind of thing to make sure everybody's okay and what they're doing. And in the middle of it, Jeff Clark, who operates that organization, stopped everything to compliment me on what the production looked like and the value that he got, which meant a lot to me because Jeff toured with the Eagles many years ago. So he knows what's going on, what has to happen. So it is, to the best of my knowledge, and it's been told, that we were the only theater in North Carolina that was doing a weekly live stream presentation. I say that sort of in boasting, but at the same time I say it as a proud parent. And more importantly, I bring forward to you is I never asked you if I could do this, but you never stopped me. And Mr. Mayor, at one point in May, you had made a comment about what we were doing, and your comment was, I hope that those artists are being paid, which to me gave me the thumbs up. And two, I went back retroactively and paid those artists, and we paid everybody beforehand. Not a tremendous amount, but I think a fair amount, so that they don't have to have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all the time. I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I'd like a variation as well. But more importantly, you enabled me to keep my work family together. Many of my contemporaries cannot say that. And now that we're in a spot where we look like we may be coming through this, they're trying to rebuild, where I'm one step ahead there, and I don't have to retrain, and I get to keep the great people that I have. So I thank you so much for that, and so much for the administration for allowing us to do this. And I am sure, no, I'm positive. In fact, if you just give me 4 more minutes of your time, there's some people that would like to tell you what they appreciate about being here.
Thank you for allowing us to do this, and I think I speak for all the guys in my band, and I say the world, the Clayton's home, has been for me forever. When the working band isn't working, you know, it kind of puts a damper on things, and y'all reached out and we were able to line something up and get up here and put on a show, not only for Clayton and everybody that wasn't able to mingle and get together like we had been for years, but for people abroad, being able to come out here and see the interaction of our fans and the support of our town, it's been real humbling and a great experience.
We were so excited about just being able to come in the doors of the Clayton Center. It was a rainy night, it was cold, everybody was just delightful, and staff and everything about the Clayton Center was perfect.
I definitely am just so grateful to be standing on a real stage and feeling like I'm doing what I love to do, which is perform my songs for everyone and to sing for people. And you might not be here in physical form, but I can see your comments and I really appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much. If it wasn't for those of you watching, I don't know where my music career would be right now, because you guys have been supporting me for so many years.
I've had the opportunity in the last several months to be here at the Clayton Center, presenting and performing my work in ways that I've never done before. Simply stated, I've had the opportunity in the last several months to reach more audiences than I've ever reached before.
The fact that we have someplace like here, especially this beautiful stage that we can use as artists and especially as full band, it means a lot to us right now. Those opportunities just aren't there. Our community is looking forward to these things on Wednesdays. For me, myself, my family's up in New York and they can't see me live, especially right now. Traveling is just not an option. Clayton is special. I say it all the time. I'm not from here. I've been a lot of places. Clayton is different. There's something very, very, very special about Clayton.
About 2 weeks ago last year, I went from a whole year's worth of performances lined up, including international, to everything rescheduled until further notice. And even now, my heart just did a little cartwheel, not in a good way, just remembering that reality. The most consistent ways that I can continue showing up at the level of artistry and professionalism and quality that I wanted to maintain even throughout the pandemic was here on this stage. We filmed our first pre-recorded performance in June. I have beautiful footage from this stage that I can use for years to come. It looks good, it sounds good, it feels good, and it's because the Clayton Center said yes to me being able to come and pre-record a show, present that show for universities, for performing arts centers, to be able to continue to show up as Shauna Tucker, Chamber Soul, cello and songs, and continue to work at a level in a way that is sustainable for my artistry, for my business, and for my family. I'm just thankful.
You have to love her laugh at the end. She's a beautiful person, and that day was the day that we recorded the concert for Elon. Thank you all very much for listening. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for the opportunity to do what we've been doing.
You did great work, man. I think you deserve a round of applause. And let me say this too, while I'm sitting up here experiencing all this, you know, innovative as featuring new methods, advanced and original. And that's really what you and our staff at the Clayton Center have done, you know? So if we gave away an award tonight for best innovative, it would have to go to you and your team, because that's what you're doing. You're taking what you have and you're making something of it. And in all of this, for me, to realize that we have basically a production facility that citizens of Clayton could be increasing some revenue from that we never even thought that we could. So the future is bright when we get to open up and be back in person, enjoying all the performances at the Clayton Center, in addition to being able to help all the artists that want to be able to get what they do out there. So it's awesome. Excellent job.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you very much. And yes, it is our team that did this together. And the one thing when I did fail to mention with Mike, when he was so taken by us having 4 hours in there with him, we were just happy to be in there doing something in our place.
Yeah. Playhouse not played in is not fun. Mr. Holder?
I feel like when I heard you were going to start live streaming, when the pandemic hit and the whole world shut down, there was a big need created for people to be entertained, for people to be able to enjoy music and relax, and I feel like you feel that need.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope that that hour that the people did spend with us, they spent it without having to think about the numbers or the news or anything like that. Thank you.
Awesome. Mr. Granis?
Scotty, I think your creativity is just beyond anything that we could think of. And not only you, but your entire staff. And I know, indirectly, I will say, you have absolutely made a difference in those people's lives. And I also think you have made a difference in your team's lives as well. And you're to be commended for that. Your creativity is totally beyond reproach.
Well, again, I appreciate those kind words, but those individuals in this team made a difference in my life.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I just say the best is still to come, right, Scotty?
There you go.
Scotty wanted to get on stage. Well, he wanted to do his presentation. We're trying to pick the right time. He said, I got to do it this night, because this is 1 year of live streams. I don't know if y'all caught that, but he's been doing this for a year, or the team has.
Correct, and we will have Aaron Ham celebrating that on the last Wednesday of this month.
Awesome.
So I've challenged Scotty. He's kept his team together. He's been creative. We're about to come out of this thing. And so I do think the best is yet to come, because I think we're in a great position as Clayton for our citizens to do something really special and to be on top of things. And Scotty's helping out in different ways and looking to be extra creative as we even come further out. So I thank you a lot, Scotty. I've tried to support you best I can since I've been here.
You have, thank you.
I've been there a lot of backstages with you, so.
Yes, you have.
I do support everything you're doing, so I'm happy it's worked out well for your whole team. I really am.
I am too. And thank you all again for your support.
Thanks
very
Scott.
much.
All right, up next on the agenda is the introduction of Nathaniel Shelton, our Public Information Officer.
Yep, and I'm going to be brief. I think you guys have seen the press release, but Nathaniel Shelton is here. It's good to have Nathaniel here. We had over 40 applicants for this position. I tried to talk Kathy into staying, but she wouldn't. She's going to agree to help out until we get the Clayton Center back up and rolling, and then Scotty says she's got to go back to her duties over there as things hit full speed. But that gives Nathaniel some time to be with Kathy and Nader and to get everything stabilized and even improved on what Kathy's been doing. But Nathaniel, the mayor was on our selection committee. He survived several rounds of grueling questions from me, but we had a big selection committee, and the mayor did a great job with us as well. But we talked to a lot of people in neighboring counties and cities, and I think everybody's choice was to have Nathaniel come in, so we're proud to have you. Nathaniel was living in Clayton. Unfortunately, his wife teaches school down near Selma, so they just recently moved to Selma. But he knows Clayton, and he knows our local media because he was at Johnston County Schools, and he has a fond affection for this community too. So welcome, Nathaniel, you, your wife, and your 2 kids to the Clayton family. So glad to have you.
Mm-hmm. You can come on up here and say a few words. I'll let you know in the future when I'm kidding.
I'm just really thankful to be able to be here and looking forward to the opportunity to working with each of you and, you know, really just sharing what a great town this is. I mean, I know the video we just saw was only a piece of that, and I don't have much more than that other than I'm very excited about it.
Well, we're very glad to have you be a part of our team.
All right.
Welcome.
We baptized him by fire today. It's his first day, so he got, like Ms. Gill did a week ago, she got to come to her council meeting on her first day, so Nathaniel got his council meeting on his first day too.
That's awesome. You know, this is a fast train, so you just kind of got to jump on, you know, right? That's awesome. All right, welcome again, Nathaniel. We're glad you're here. All right, up next, we'll move on to public hearings, and it's the 2021-03RZ Blacktip Properties rezoning.
Good evening, Mayor McLeod, members of the Town Council. Let me introduce myself for the record. My name is Jeff Keynes. I'm the land use planner of the town of Clayton. I'm here to present the Blacktip Properties LLC rezoning application, project number 2021-03-RZ. Tonight's request is to rezone a couple parcels of property just over 2 acres in size from residential estate, RE, to light industrial, which is I1. Its current use is residential. It does cover 2 specific addresses, and you're able to see them bordered by the property lines right here, but they're just south of Palatine Road. And it's just, if you, for reference point, it is west of the Mays Funeral Home. As I stated before in the earlier slide, the current zoning is RE. The proposed zoning the applicant's requesting is light industrial. If you can see in the proposed zoning map, if this project is approved by the council tonight, it would match many of the other properties surrounding this in this current light industrial form. And just a general picture from Google Earth and the street view showing the properties, and then there is, I believe, some sort of business towards the back of these properties. I'm not familiar with the details of the business. If it will most likely remain until this property is developed into some light industrial format in the future. In doing staff analysis, we determined that there is a consistency and compatibility of this property for the future rezone. Currently, the future rezone map does show this area to be an employment center. We find that it matches what's listed, identified in Goal 1 through the objective strategies of both Objective L1-1 and Objective L1.2. You can, if you haven't read those before, I'll give a brief second. If not, I believe it should be in your packet as well. And to sum up, staff does recommend approval of the rezone request, and as had the planning board recommended approval of this rezone request as well. So in brief, that concludes the staff report. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Tonight would be the council does make the final decision for the rezone. So through staff's recommendation and the board's recommendation, we leave it into your hands for make the final determination. With that, I'll close my staff report. Be more than happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
All right. Any questions for Jeff? Mr. Granis?
Jeff, does the existing business conform to I-1 zoning?
Ben, I'm looking at you real quick. Yes or, shake your head, yes or no.
The applicant stated it's only residential uses on their application, so there wasn't information about it.
As far as we know, we do not know for sure if it's a home-based business located on it. The applicant just said there's a business located on the residential properties. So we don't have the detail, the type of business that's located there. But we do know it's residential. If it's a home-based business, it's one thing. If it's a commercial type business, staff does not know, and we'd be more than happy to find out. We have not received any complaints on the property, so we're complaint driven, so we've not had a need to go out there to have a further investigation.
Would it be fair to say if for some reason it doesn't, that's not a part of the approval process at this juncture?
That's correct. If there's a business or not on the location, that has nothing to do with the approval process for the rezone, which we're talking now. In speaking with the applicant, he's looking at the longer-term picture of these properties. He has done a number of developments in Clayton, so that it would not be a situation where he's turning a home into a business-type situation. He actually develops property throughout the Clayton area, so it will be completely redone.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, this has been noted as a public hearing. If there's anyone else that wishes to comment, please step forward and state your name for the record. No one else wishing to speak, I'll close the public hearing. And I'll.
You got one, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. You have the floor. Please step forward to the mic and introduce yourself.
How you doing, sir?
All right.
My name is Greg Tan. I'm glad I was able to come down here. I'd rather sit back in the corner and see how business is conducted. You know, I would love to come back again, so I don't want to say too much. My reasoning for coming here is due to my utility bill.
Okay, hold on just a second. So this part of the agenda is a public hearing to discuss this particular piece of property.
This particular piece.
Rezoning.
Okay, and that's what
But a little bit further down in the agenda, we're going to have public comment. And we'll have you first on the list.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. All right, anyone else wishing to speak on the rezoning? All right, if not, then I'll close the public hearing and I'll turn it over to the council for their discussion. Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Mayor, after considering the recommendations of the planning board and planning director, I move to approve 2021-03-RZ Blacktip Properties Ordinance Number 2021-03-04 and to approve the statement of consistency and reasonableness included in the agenda packet.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Done. Motion carries. All right, up next under new business is the fiscal year 21 road rehab project.
Mr. Mayor, as Blake and Rusty come forward, I'd just like to compliment them for all the hard work they've done. I know you've heard this in the past, but we've got outside people that come in and grade our pavement, and some of those recommendations come out to be much higher than what we've been able to do the work for. So a lot of credit to Blake and Rusty for being creative in the way they've used our money and to cover the ground we've got. So I think tonight you'll hear some of those activities they've been up to.
Blake Mills, Assistant Director of Public Services, talk about the fiscal year 21 road rehab project. But before I do that, I want to recognize Rusty Clausen, who is our street supervisor. And I really want to recognize him for the great work that he has done for the town in managing projects. You know, when engineering needed help on West Horne Street, Rusty is the first one to step up and say, I can help, I'll do that, I'll work the extra time and put all the extra effort in to learn some new tasks, and he did that. And he was doing a great job of that. We also gave him another project, because we knew he could handle it. He did the Georgetown land drainage project, which was a very big project, so he was able to multitask those very successfully. He took on the fiscal year 20 road rehab project. And that project was very complicated. You know, it was mill and fills, it was FDRs, you had curb and gutter, you had ADA ramps, and you had 4 new sections of sidewalk that you had to build within that project. It's a $1.3 million project, and he brought that project in on time, on budget, and you don't hear about that very often. He also worked with developers on Academy Point with the Wilson and Mall project, got those roads built for the school. He's worked with NCDOT on Robertson and McDonald's, the sidewalk project, so the kids could safely get to the school. He worked on the sidewalk projects on Lombard Street, which you guys will be familiar with, 2 segments there, from 2nd to Main and from Hamby to Andrews Street, which was just recently done. They turned out fantastic. He's also been working with his staff, and they've upped their game, and they're getting more active, doing work that is more visible, so they've changed out the signs, MUTCD, they've done the inventories, they've changed them out for reflectivity, so they're very proactive in doing that type of work. He also has got those new street signs where it says, you know, blue for town, or it's got state, or it's got private, so you know what, you know, who maintains the streets you're on. He's been working with the Historic District signs. And also, he's been very active with his group of guys in streets, doing in-house work, fixing drainage problems and drainage complaints and concerns of residents. He's done a fantastic job on that, being pretty innovative on Flamingo Drive and Cardinal. And we've got a lot more work in that, doing some French drains. And so Rusty's got a backlog of that kind of work where his guys are going to do it in-house and save the town money. So it really has been a pleasure working with Rusty. He's been doing this, you know, for almost 2 years now. You know, he's working, you know, he's got tremendous dedication and commitment, and he's working tirelessly. He's working overtime without notice sometimes, where you're just gonna drop everything and pick it up when you're doing these construction projects. No complaints by him ever. So he's really old school. He doesn't just do what's best for Rusty, he does what's best for the town. So I really want you to, you know, join me in a show of appreciation for Rusty and all his work.
Absolutely.
Rusty's going to take it from here.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. I'm here obviously to talk about the 2021 street project. On March the 4th, we had a bid opening, and we're here tonight to ask Town Council to award the street project and authorize the town manager to execute the contract and any change orders that may come up. We had 6 companies bid on this project. The lowest responsible bidder was ST Wooten Corporation, and their bid came in at $993,289.50. We had good competition in these bids, very good prices. These prices are actually lower than the prices we had last year. And this bidder came in, ST Wooten came in within 2% of our estimate of what we estimated in-house. And staff believes that the price for this is fair and reasonable, and we recommend that the Town Council award the contract to ST Wooten.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rusty. I'll entertain a motion.
Move we approve.
Second for approval of the adoption of the ordinance 20-210304. No, I'm sorry, adoption of resolution number 2021-14. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Rusty. Appreciate all you do. All right, up next is the customer service policy update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have tried to wait until closer to the end of the AMI project to bring you updates to our utilities policies. I have 3 quick updates for you. The first is one of the things that I feel very strongly about is the safety of our customers' property. So if a property has been vacant for a year and it has electric service, what we'd like to add to our policy is that we as a town require an electrical inspection for that property, because you just don't know what has happened at that meter box and that meter base. And it's good for someone with expertise to go out and lay some eyes on it and understand that that property that box is safe for us to energize and add electricity back to an account. That's the first. Second update is there are less than 50 properties in the town of Clayton that were not included in this change-out project, and that was because they have been vacant. I can run a list of our vacant properties, and they could be vacant because someone's moved out. They could be vacant because the house is in need of repair. They were not included in putting brand-new meters on. We didn't see the need to put a brand-new meter on a property that could possibly be torn down at some point in time to be rehabbed. So what I'm also asking in the policy, that if a property was not included in the project, that if and when the owner of the property decides to add service to it, that at that point in time an AMI meter would be added for the services that are on the property, water and electric, and that the owner of the property would pay for those meters at that time. And then the third update is just that it's lawnmower season. And these new water meters, the reading device on those meters sits on top of that meter lid cover. And we feel like we're going to have an issue, I've talked to other towns, of lawnmowers clipping that device, and those are going to have to be replaced. And I will be working with the PIO's office to do a nice push out of all of this information. And what we're asking for that one is that if there is a meter damaged, that the owner of the property would be responsible for that cost. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
That sounds good. Any questions or comments? Mr. Granis.
And with respect to the vacant properties being vacant in excess of a year, what do we do today?
We do ask for an inspection.
Okay, and with respect to installing a meter, or do we just have to turn that meter on?
Turn the meter on.
Okay, so the difference then is because we're applying the new meter. What's the cost for that?
Currently, the cost of an electric meter is around $125. The water meters are $175.
Okay.
And that's current cost.
And we've not asked our existing customers to pay that because they've been customers up to the point of exchange, correct?
Yes, sir, and remember that they're paying the $2 AMI meter fee.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Ann. Mr. Holder.
I move we adopt Resolution 2021-15.
Second.
Second for adoption of the resolution 2021-15. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to staff reports, beginning with the town manager.
Mr. Mayor, a couple things. I want to first read you a list of police officer names, and then I'll give you some information. Sergeant Kilpatrick, Sergeant Marquis, Officer Morris, Officer McKinney, Officer Brantley, Officer Woodall, our newest officer, I believe, one of our newest officers, and Officer Cedeno. This was provided to us by email on our police department complaint and compliment line. On the above date, which was over the weekend, I was headed to the BB&T Bank located on Horne Street at US 70. Clayton PD was conducting a license checkpoint in that area, and I was stopped by a Clayton PD sergeant who asked me for my driver's license. I produced the document and was on my way. On my return trip up Horne Street, I was again stopped by another Clayton Police Department officer and was asked to produce my license. He goes on to say, feeling a bit intruded upon, I decided to invoke my right as a citizen and not show it. The female officer did not take offense to me exercising my rights. She just motioned to another officer to come by and to speak with me. The second officer asked me to show my license and I explained to him my feelings. After hearing my concerns, the officer allowed me to continue on my way. Neither officer got upset or let their egos get in the way of doing their job. He goes on to say that what the officers did not know at the time is that I'm a retired police supervisor with over 30 years of experience. Sorry here. Some of those years were spent teaching police ethics to law enforcement recruits. Both officers are to be commended for the not escalating, but de-escalating the encounter. They made me proud to live in Clayton and having a police department that serves myself and the Clayton community well. So some very good news and something to be very proud of. I think our officers have to do what they have to do when they do it, but the act of de-escalating is always good, and to get that kind of compliment from a peer is above and beyond. That's my good news for the night. A couple things that I will say. Other things real quick. I thought we had a real good retreat last week, a couple days. You guys got to see the preliminary budget kind of in advance of when you usually see it, and I think you hopefully brings us together a lot as we go through what will be, as always, a challenging budget seasons. One of the things I would also say is that with some of the paving money that we've got left over, another note, we've talked about connecting the Greenway through Municipal Park. It looks like we've got enough money to connect that, so we're going to be, we've taken bids for that, going to try to make that connection so that the new Greenway that's near Wright Field and Civitan Park will now connect to downtown, so we'll have connectivity of our greenways to downtown. The last thing I'll mention is water reclamation facility update. We have some bids out now for clearing and grading, the early grading package, so those are on the street. We have another bid date that'll be coming up in the next month for the water transmission line, and we have shortlisted 3 design builders, and we'll be interviewing them on Wednesday to make a final decision of who will be our design builder for the water reclamation facility. So that project is real and picking up speed in a hurry. Again, impacts to schedule and budgets are going to be something we'll have to negotiate with COVID being here. Some things are cheaper, but some things are more expensive as well. With that, Mr. Mayor, I believe that's all I got tonight.
Awesome. Thank you very much, JD. All right, Town Attorney. Town Clerk.
Thank you.
Other staff. All right. I'll now open the floor for informal discussion and public comment. Anyone wish to speak, please step forward and state your name.
All right, again, my name is Gregory Tan. I go by Greg Tan. The reason I came here today was because I received a utility bill. And with us being in COVID, I am a veteran, served 9 years in the military, and I received a bill from the utility company. My bill average out about $85 a month, which is pretty standard. I believe in paying your bills. I like to pay my bills on time, even though that's not always realistic. I've paid my bill every single month. Recently in February, I received a bill. It had 3 late fees up there. One for $50, one for $50, and a $65 late bill fee, all within a 30-day period. I called to not complain, but to rectify this situation. What happened was my water got turned off in the process. In the same breath, I don't know if it have anything to do with this meeting, but I received a bill from Duke Energy for $561, all for the month of February, a 1-month bill. So I got hit with a lot of bills, and I am a veteran. I get paid once a month. I pay my bills on a monthly basis. I went on and paid the water bill, and I also sent you an email as well. I do want to say congratulations on becoming mayor. I haven't had an opportunity to really read up on you or hear what your standpoint is, but I was very furious as a citizen of Clayton. I have been living here about 2 years. I love it here. I think it's a great town, but the fees was ridiculous. They turned my water off and they invited me to come to the town meeting, but it didn't get my water turned on. So I went on and paid a portion, but I was very dissatisfied with those late fees. And I wanted to bring some attention to that. That's first reason I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here. Since I'm here, I would like to also mention, I heard, Mr. Solomon speak on police officers. All right. So as a veteran, and staying here in this town, I have got stopped by the police officer maybe, without exaggerating, 50 times within the last 6 months. I'm no criminal. I did great all throughout high school. I excelled in everything I've done. So I kind of want to shine light on the police department a little bit, so I brought a little attention my way by maybe playing my music a little louder than normal. Nothing out the ordinary. I recently got stopped by a police officer about 2 weeks ago, and he stopped me for a tag light being out, which it's not out. I haven't changed my tag light up to this day because it was never out. And he banged on my window, boom, 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 on the passenger side. And I had to end up going down to the police station to retrieve my driver's license. Come to find out, he threw my driver's license in the car. So the way some of the police officers are conducting themselves out here in town, it should be mentioned as well. There are a lot of great police officers around here. And I would say Officer Sims is one of them. He stopped me. He gave me a ticket, I was in the wrong, but he was very courteous and very polite. On the other hand, I do have the officer name. I didn't bring it with me because I wasn't planning on speaking on that. But, I think it is a worthy mention that, the good cops should be honored and the bad ones should be called out. And based off of my situation of being pulled so many times over the last couple of months, and I'm somebody, if you do your background check, I don't get in trouble. So they're wasting their time, they're wasting taxpayers' money, but I entertain it. The last thing I would like to speak on is Initiative 6565A. That is a bill that was on Mississippi's ballot for marijuana. I understand that there's 33 states that are approved for marijuana, and North Carolina is close to passing the bill, with the exception of a few senators such as Mr. Tom Tillis, whom I do have spoken to a few times. I am a supporter of Governor Cooper. I am a supporter of Ms. Lisa Barnes, and also I recently spoke to Senator Rouser. All right, I am a veteran. The VA is helping me, as well as members of the legislators. I understand it has never been done in North Carolina. I am somebody, just by looking at me, probably say ain't nothing wrong with them, but I let the doctors argue that point. It's all in my medical records. And, as far as my health is concerned, I leave that up to the professionals. But I am a candidate that they said that is entitled, and just so you know, it will be coming this way, and just be lookout and out for it, and let you know I do support it.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Thank you for your service.
All right, no one else wishing to speak. I will ask council for comments. Mr. Granis.
I just wanted to make a comment with respect to our retreat this past week. I've gone through 15 of those so far, and I can honestly say for this particular council member, that was probably the best retreat that I think I've experienced. That's not to say that many of them have been very productive and very good, but to me, the information that was passed along to us and the interaction that we had was extremely beneficial, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Thompson?
I just want to echo a lot of what Blake said about the hard work of Rusty and his team. I know over the last year, there's been a lot of stuff happening, the pandemic, the tragic loss at the fire department, a lot of stuff going on, and I can tell you, It might be a Sunday afternoon, it might be a Saturday night. Rusty's always out there leading, and he's always out there with the troops leading. And he's a Clayton guy, a product of Clayton schools, and he's giving back to our town every day through his leadership, and it really shows. And he's a true leader in our community, and I just want to I'm glad to see his boss recognize that.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's fantastic too. You know, I'm out and about in Clayton everywhere all the time during the day. And of all of our employees, the one that I see the most consistent is Rusty Lawson. He is everywhere. And you're doing good work for us, and we appreciate it. Yes, and I agree with Councilman Thompson too. You know, it's nice, Blake, that, you know, upper management realizes the assets that they have, you know, to work with and are grooming and bringing them up, like make Clayton a better place. So thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, if not, then I think I'll entertain a motion to go into a closed session. I think we can just stay here for the closed session, and anybody not involved in the closed session can excuse yourself. So moved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.